Okay, y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Kay, and I'm here today to come to y'all with episode 15 of Divorce Sistas. Okay, y'all, so I had initially recorded a review, but I just deleted it because I needed some time to think about that episode, y'all. That episode was crazy. I needed some time to think about the episode, and I just didn't like my I didn't like my initial review because my thoughts was running. They was running. It was too much going on, y'all. My thoughts was running, and I was all over the place. So now that I had some time to think about it, y'all, I want Rashida to so desperately, leave. I do not want her to no longer be friends with Geneva or Naomi. Because you got two friends that just tried to off their spouses. Well, one had a murder for hire job and the other one stabbed her husband. And we don't even know the status, if he went on to be with the Lord or if he is at home fighting for his life in the middle of the floor. We don't know. So y'all know, as you know, the episode starts, it picks up right where the last episode ends off, where Geneva is just getting back from, being with Rashida. And so we know that William had taken home a lady of the night, and they were, entangling downstairs. William did say that he did not want to take her upstairs because his child was upstairs sleeping. And so he gave the nanny the rest of the night off, and so he could go home and, do the entangling. I hated that for William because William was heartbroken and he was acting off of extremely high emotions. He was also intoxicated. This is not me excusing what William did, because I do acknowledge, and I want to acknowledge the fact that what William did was it was not right. But I do understand that he was acting off emotions. He was also intoxicated. And I also think that mostly he just wanted to get a reaction out of Geneva. I do believe that he only did that to get the reaction out of Geneva because he wanted Geneva to feel how he felt. He wanted her to feel how low he felt. He wanted her to feel that. I also think that he also wanted to see if she really cared about him. I also think that he did that to see if she really actually had some regard for him. Because I could only imagine, going through a counseling session or having this intervention with these two ministers, and and your spouse not only tells you that they had an affair on you many years ago and you've been in the dark about it. A child was produced from that infidelity, and you have been under the guise that was your child, the child that you prayed and went into debt for, and then come to find out that your wife, who had been struggling to get pregnant, got pregnant naturally. And not only did she get pregnant, she cheated on you, she got pregnant, and then she got pregnant by somebody and she's not telling you who it is. So it was just so many factors playing into that decision. And I don't know if, Geneva would have been more forthcoming during that sit down. Would that have still been the same outcome? But by them both getting up and leaving and going their separate ways, emotions was high and bad decisions was made. That's all I could say. And then it was just the verbal sparring after that. That scene was 4 minutes. It was just 4 minutes of intensity. was 4 minutes of intensity. And I ain't gonna lie, I felt uncomfortable because I'm just like, this is going down the path of destruction, like it and fast. But I do also feel like y'all, that scene was just so loaded. Like, you know, the arguing back and forth, cool. But again, I'm not excusing what William did. But how dare Geneva come in that house and be nothing more than understanding of what just took place? You just broke this man. And so he want to get his get back to make you feel bad. And you had a nerve to be mad? We don't know where you and Javon was at when you conceived Anika. You could have been in the house while William was gone. We don't know. We don't know that. That could have happened. So I can't necessarily say that he shouldn't have done it at their house because we don't know where Javon and Anika was. I mean, we don't know where Javon and Geneva was when Anika was conceived. They could have been in the house. We don't know. We can't say that. And then it's the fact that, like, Javon had been in the house multiple times. Not, you know, because it was something that Geneva did, but she still knew nonetheless. You know what I mean? And so, Geneva, I just feel had no right to be mad. You wanted to be mad that, you know, it was done in the house, cool. But being mad at him, period, because that's something that he did, I think was a little much. Also, Geneva did put her hands on William a couple times. And I do want to preface this by saying it's never okay that domestic violence goes down. It's never okay for a man to put his hands on a woman. And it's not okay for a woman to put her hands on a man, because I was told, and I, you know, heard a couple of times when I was younger, never put your hands on a man because then you can't be mad at the way he responds. And I'm not going to say that was a correct teaching or the correct thing that I heard, but you don't need to put your hands on nobody because you never know how it's going to end up, whether it's a person that you're in a relationship with or whether it's a person you don't know. You just never put your hands on somebody, period. Putting your hands on people, unless it's to defend yourself, is never okay. And I do think a lot of manipulation took place on Geneva's end during that whole interaction with her and William. I do feel to a certain extent that William was baited because and I feel that way because, you know, after I watched the episode and after, of course, I recorded my first review, I then went on Twitter to see, like, you know, what everybody was saying, what everybody thought was on the episode. And so people were saying, I did see a couple people say, given Geneva's reaction, that may have not been the first time that William put his hands on her. Now, I'm not going to say that was not the case, given her reaction, that wasn't true. But we as an audience have not been relayed that information. So until we are relayed that information and it's confirmed, then, or it was something, you know, it was some kind of what's the word? Alluded. It was nothing even ever alluded to us that could be the case. Like her saying something about her past. Like, like the whole situation with Rashida. It was some things alluding to why, she like amped when Jeff didn't open her door. But it wasn't until it was confirmed by Tiffany what actually happened. You know what I mean? So we don't have that on screen. We don't have that on screen confirmation is what I'm saying. So in this moment, when I was watching the whole thing between Geneva and William, I felt like Geneva baited William into hitting her. Because she kept punching him. She kept slapping him. She threw a vase at him. Then she hit him over the head with the vase. And he looked at her and was like, he gave her that look like, you pushing me. And then she slapped him one last time and then he got mad and he hit her. And then because he hurt her, she felt like that gave her the go ahead to stab him with that knife. Now with that, she also said to him during the altercation that, I'm a lawyer, I'll take you for all I got. And then he was like, well, all I have to do is go get a DNA test on Anika, then what you gonna say? And to me, the whole thing that the him bringing up Anika will always be, I guess, that trigger for her, because when it comes to Anika, I think she feels, or I don't know if he made her feel like she wasn't doing enough with Anika, but it was, to me, shown to us that he was the primary parent and she wasn't the more nurturing parent. So if he leaves or he proves that she, was the trifling parent, the DNA is going to show that, the DNA test is going to show that not only was she a trifling parent, but she also was a trifling wife. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was a very layered conversation. And then think about if they go through a divorce, she's a lawyer. She cheated on her husband. Not only is she on her husband, she had a baby by. That's going to ruin her credibility as a lawyer. That's going to ruin her name. All of this now, like, and then to me, her stabbing him, and say if William does die, because right now, the audience is left on the cliffhanger. We don't know if William is dead or alive. She said at the end of the episode that he was dead, but she don't know because Rashida asked her, did she go back to the house? And she said no. So she's assuming that William is dead. Now, mind you, earlier in the episode, when Rashida was on the phone with Jeff said that he would go over there. He would go by the house before he came to the church. So I'm assuming the next episode, we're going to see Jeff stop by the house and find William in the middle of the floor. I don't know. But nonetheless. So to me, in my mind, her deleting William will take William out of the equation altogether because she don't want to face the truth. I feel like she probably thinks that she can handle hurting Tiffany, but she can't handle hurting William, because from what we know and from what was portrayed to us and from everybody's reactions, William was the perfect husband to Geneva and they had the perfect relationship and they was in love. Everybody knows the story that they went through with the whole thing with trying to conceive. Everybody knows how William, it seems like William gave Geneva the sun, the moon, and the stars. He was the perfect husband. He did everything that he wanted. He did everything that she wanted, everything to appease her. But now I guess everybody's going to find out that their marriage was actually not all that it cracked up to be. Geneva was very dissatisfied. And I think that she can handle, moving on with Javon. Because Javon has told her numerous times, I've come back for you. You need to leave him. So I think that she can handle saying that he hit me, and so I did this to him. And so they can say that she either can plead insanity or it's a crime of passion. She could get off, and then she can go about her merry way and live her life with Javon, with their child, and be a family. But then it's all the other manipulation going into it, especially with Tiffany, because Javon has so manipulated Tiffany. He got her mind all over the place, and he got her where he wanted. He can do anything because he know he could convince her and take advantage of her. And I just hate that for Tiffany, because all Tiffany wanted to do is be properly loved. And now she's in this very intense, messy of a triangle with her friend that she don't even know she's in, because her friend has been so trifling in her relationship toward her and in her relationship toward her husband that it's all come down to being this trigger effect. Then it's just the fact that going back to in the beginning of the season, Jeff telling Rashida that he didn't like Rashida hanging around Naomi. Golly, he shouldn't have liked Rashida hanging around Geneva, because the mess that Geneva is about to rope Rashida in. And I hate it for Rashida, because all Rashida wanted to do was be a supportive friend and help steer her friend in the right direction. And now her friend that came to church, they place of worship and they place of business, and they're in a pillar in the community that people come to receive counseling. How it's going to look that you as a married woman had this friend, this close friend that was out there. Because y'all know people judge Christians very harshly. I don't think no other, well, I ain't going to say that because that's not true. But Christianity, people who believe in Christianity live under some of the biggest mirrors, and people judge them for the things that they do and the people they associate with. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it is what it is. And so how is it going to look that the first lady of a church is in close proximity with this woman who not only she was carrying her secrets of infidelity, but she just admitted to her friend that she stabbed her husband? That's not going to go over well. So now we got this scandal going on at the church, the whole thing with Myron going on at the church, and then the whole thing with Bridget possibly allegedly cheating with Calvin, even though Bridget don't even want Calvin from a grain of rice. And so it's just the messiness of everything that's unfolded. And then come to find out, y'all, I found out yesterday was the second to last episode, and the next week's episode is the season finale. Excuse me. So now we about to be left on a cliffhanger for a couple of months, and we don't even know if they've been filming. We don't know anything. And then this whole thing with BET and Paramount Plus, merging. It could be a while before we get new episodes of Divorce Sistas, for real, because of the way the whole streaming thing is set up, and that show being primarily put on streaming, unless Tyler Perry takes Sistas and puts Divorce Sistas on TV the way he got Sistas on TV, where it come out every couple months. You know what I mean? Because anyway, that's a super sidebar. But yeah, y'all know that Sistas comes out like that. Like, they film in 2 weeks, and then the new season is coming out, and they edit, and the new season is coming out in a couple of weeks. So hopefully we can get that for Divorce Sistas. But yeah, back to the episode at hand. So then, apart from Geneva, we had that whole, well, the light part of the episode was the whole thing with Pastor Jeff and Rashida and Lady Dirty Red or Lady Red or whatever her name is, and the daughter walking in. That was probably the only funny part of the episode, or the only like, oh my God, are you serious part of the episode? Because everything, it went from, oh my God, are you serious, to, oh my God, Are you serious? Real quick. Like, that's the best way I can say it. Like, so of course, like, on the way, Rashida calls, on the way to church, Rashida calls Geneva. She don't answer. On the way to church, she called William. He don't answer. Then I don't want to bypass the fact that Rashida did call Javon. Now, mind you, Geneva is already at the church. So if Rashida already told Bridget to, like, kind of keep her calendar kind of open because Javon's supposed to be stopping by, this is about to be incredibly messy because now, basically, in a nutshell, Geneva did all this because of Javon. And then Javon's going to be there, and I guess he's going to hear or overhear or find out something about this whole debacle. And him being a lawyer, I guess he going to have to try to represent Geneva to get her off. But that's going to look sketch if William is still alive, because they're going to have to go to court because a crime was committed and then they're going to have to get divorced. So I don't know. But I'm telling y'all right now, divorce sisters and y'all writers, William got to make it. William cannot die, because we need to see William get revenge. I don't know how I want revenge to go for William or what. Maybe I just want William to move on and be happy and actually have a woman who actually want him. Shoot. And if Tiffany was cut like that, she'll take William. It's like, no, that's trifling. I mean, but, Geneva trifling. So, I mean, an eye for an eye. I'm just kidding. But, ooh, that would be a word. That would be some soap opera worthy stuff, okay? But, going back to Geneva and William, like, we, the audience, been seeing that Geneva was off. The way that girl tracked William, the way she followed him to Anika's school, the way she went to that yoga studio and made a fool of herself, the way she tried to accuse William, the way William found out about it, the whole manipulation at the hospital, trying to tell him he was going to sue the hospital. Crazy. Then the whole thing about her getting in the car with Javon and slapping Javon. Crazy. Then she getting mad at William because William, and then her jumping over the couch trying to pull the girl wig off and beat the girl up. Crazy. And then, of course, her slapping, stabbing, and throwing vases at William. Like, crazy. It's nothing was snapped about her. She been Looney Tune this whole time, and it was just under the guise of her being a successful lawyer. Like, I don't know. And then she had the nerve to be out there in the church parking lot smoking a cigarette with blood on her hand, like she was a bruised and battered woman, and then had the nerve to say to the Rashida, "He hit me." Girl, what? Then you gonna get out there and lie? Oh, they already wouldn't believe that William had a prostitute. And not to say that you lied about him hitting you, but you made it seem like he just got mad because of the whole situation. Y'all just went through and he hit you, when that's not the case. Like, you attacked this man. I done spent 24 minutes talking about Geneva and William. I'm gonna move on. We have other pressing issues. Okay, so at this point, I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna be raw with it. I just feel like, and I don't know if, because this is the way the story is written, but what I am gonna say is, I feel like everybody in the circle view Bridget is less than. And I just thought that Tiffany, like, it was never like shown to us that Bridget was on the in circle. They just made Bridget seem like she was the help and she was in via Rashida. Kind of like how Fatima was in via Andy. She was not in the sister circle. She just got added, and that's the way it looked. Now I don't know if like that was purposefully done, or if it's just because the lack, like the storytelling and the writing, or if like Bridget went to school with them and they all was like together and was friends. I don't know, but that's just the way it appears for now, or at least that's the way I comprehended it. Tiffany, I thought Tiffany calling Bridget was odd, because it's just like, okay, from what we've seen, we know that Rashida don't be telling Bridget nothing, especially nothing that go down like at the church, unless it's like church related, and like the whole thing with Myron, like Bridget knew about that, you know what I mean? But child, no, like no, I did not see that coming. And then her saying she wanted to go to breakfast, I just thought that whole exchange was weird to me, because I'm just like, okay, so now, because Tiffany, they ain't really talking to Naomi like that right now, because Naomi is just like losing it. Tiffany has talked to Rashida multiple times, but Rashida can't tell her nothing, which again, I just feel like, you know, me, and I said this probably an episode or two ago, as far as reviews, I just feel like if I was Rashida, I would have told Tiffany something. I wouldn't have told her all Geneva business, because that is on Geneva to tell to Tiffany, and that's what Geneva and Tiffany have a conversation about. But I would have told Rashida something about Javon, like in regards to like, girl, like no. I would have totally made something up, and just put a bad taste in Tiffany's mouth about Javon, just so she can move forward. Or I mean, I just would have told her something, because I feel like if it comes from Rashida, then, you know, it hold a little bit more weight, because they know Rashida ain't just gonna tell them nothing out of you know what I mean? Like, obviously Rashida is like the go-to in the group. So, you know, I feel like had Rashida said something, it might have carried more weight, and Tiffany might have moved a little bit differently. But because Geneva didn't say anything in regards to like the severity of the situation, she just kept saying her like, girl, you don't need to do that with him, you just need to wait. Like, it just seemed like, okay, you telling me this, but why are you saying it? And Tiffany even said out her mouth a couple of times, like, until you tell me what's going on, I'm just going to continue to move forward with what I'm doing. Even though I feel like that's kind of irresponsible on Tiffany's behalf, but I'm just saying. But Tiffany having this conversation at this brunch with Bridget. Bridget don't know nothing, but Bridget tells Tiffany all in all that something don't feel right in her spirit. And so Tiffany is trying to get Bridget to do a whole sit down with the group. But this whole sit down finna be real delayed, because once Tiffany finds out that Geneva stabbed William, Tiffany is gonna know something is up and what's going on. Like, she gonna know something. All of this finna come spilling over. I hope we get the revelation next episode. Please don't let this season end, Tyler Perry and them, without letting this revelation about Javon and Tiffany come forward. Also, Calvin. I know that his wife followed her to Bridget's house, but y'all messy too. I seen y'all online talking about some Tyler Perry gave Bridget Karen car. Y'all so messy. But anyway, her coming over there vandalizing that girl car without no proof. Like, I don't know. That whole scene was so choppy. I just feel like if they could have just strictly said to that girl, we have nothing going on. Her boyfriend used to work for me, and I came over here to get the key from her because she kicked him out, or something along them lines. Like, we wouldn't have had to go through that, because this whole situation between Calvin's wife and Bridget just seems so out the blue and out of the water and crazy and out of nowhere. We just all be sitting at home on the couch like, what? I just feel like there was room for them for an explanation to have been written in for this. Like, I could see, the first encounter, where she just was like, oh, so you, and then it was explained to them that night, or something. I mean, I know the lady seems arranged, but excuse me. I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like something else could have taken place. That's just the way I feel. Sorry, guys. Lastly, Naomi. I'm over Naomi and Franklin so bad. Y'all, because we didn't hear no gunshot or nothing go off and the show just ended, I was hoping that Hakeem took the deal. I was hoping that Hakeem took the deal from Franklin. Because I didn't want that to be the end of Franklin. I needed to know a little bit more about the dynamic. We just seen them like treating each other like trash, but we don't really know, like, we haven't been given flashbacks of anything. We don't know anything about their marriage besides the fact that they hate each other. Then it's the fact that it was so blatantly obvious to the audience that Naomi left and went to Grayson school for an alibi. And then it's the fact that he said verbatim, "You're doing something evil to Dad. I know you're only here as an alibi." Just for Grayson to be on his way home. And when in the world did North Carolina get 3.5 hours from Atlanta? Y'all tell me, is it a back way that we can take? Because ain't no way he was driving he said his school was in North Carolina, okay? And it ain't no telling if he was in a mountainous region, the Piedmont region, or the coastal plain. But how is Atlanta 3 hours away from North Carolina where it take 3 and 4 hours from somebody in a Piedmont region to get to the coastal region? How? It take 5 hours to get some places in North Carolina. So how in the world is he crossing 2 states in 3.5 hours? Please explain. Even if you in Charlotte, it still ain't 3 hours to get to Atlanta unless you going 100 the whole way. And then you got to get through traffic going through Charlotte and in Atlanta, getting to Atlanta. Like, how? I just thought I'd bring that up because I just thought that was interesting. But nonetheless, Grayson is on his way to North Carolina, child, with, I forgot his girlfriend name. Is it Grace? I don't know. I'm going to call her Grace. Grayson and Grace is in the car on the way to North Carolina. You know, I'm sorry, y'all. Because that really threw me for a loop. Anyway, Grayson and Grace is on their way to North Carolina because Grayson saw somebody on the cameras and his daddy's not answering the phone. So while they on the way to Atlanta to his daddy's house, the police calls Grayson and basically tells Grayson over the phone that his father has been murdered and that they don't have any details or whatever. And so Grayson immediately throws Naomi under the bus. My mama did it. My mama did it. I got the video. I seen somebody on the camera. My mama did it. Where's your mama at? She's at the Wallace. At the Wallace where? What state are you in? He said, "Oh, I'm in school in North Carolina." He was like, "Well, go back to your mama and make sure she stays in place while I contact the North Carolina authorities." So they on their way back to the school. To the hotel. So Grayson gets to the hotel and he tells his mom, "Mom, what have you done?" She's like, "Grayson, I don't know what you're talking about." Mind you, Naomi is under the influence. Like always. So, she's like, "Grayson, I don't know what you're talking about." He was like, "His father has been killed." She was like, "What, Grayson? What are you talking about?" And then Grayson was just like, "There's no reaction coming out of you. You are too calm and too cool in this situation. You must have something to do with it." She was like, "Grayson, I don't know what you're talking about." And then he was just like, "Your reaction." And she tells her son that she wants to laugh. She's trying not to laugh at the news that she has been given about his father. And then he was like, "What do you mean trying not to laugh?" She was like, "You know how terrible your father treated me." She was like, you were supposed to be on my side. It was supposed to be me and you this whole time. So from that statement alone, that tells me that whatever did transpire, she tried to put Grayson in the middle of it. But I guess her plan didn't work, and Grayson started siding with his father more on things. And so, Grace, she says, Grayson, this has really hurt Grayson, Miss Price. Like he has gone to therapy and he cries every night because he loves you and he wants to have a better relationship with you. And so basically, after she tells Naomi that, Naomi mocks the girl, really, and belittles the girl. And Grayson he was just fed up. And then Naomi was like, Grayson, if I had anything to do with this, you're the sole heir. It all belongs to you. And so she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so then Grayson and his girlfriend leave, right? So World's Dumbest Criminals, because I don't know why this was even written in the script. So a crime had just been committed and y'all get on the phone and say it's done. Y'all do know that the way the world works now is that they can ping y'all phones on the towers and know where y'all was at because y'all phone hit the network. They know, they gonna know. And then Naomi gonna say, I don't want to talk about this on the phone. I'll see you tomorrow at breakfast. Jail. Send him to jail. I don't even care no more. Naomi needs her time in the orange. Orange is the new black for Naomi. Like, because I don't have no words. Like, what can you even say to that? Like, I just don't even have no words. And then like the whole thing that came up with Grayson, she was like, Grayson, you know what he did to you. And then she was like, you too young to remember. Like, I wanna believe that part, because like, what if Franklin did do something really trifling to Grayson when he was young? But under this guise and the things that she's done, like, I can't believe her. Like, I want to believe her. I really do. Because it is some stuff like that that goes on and women find out that their husbands is trifling. But like, I just can't believe it. Cause, and then she told Hakeem that. And so I don't know, like, I don't know. And then the stuff that Franklin was recanted to Hakeem, did she tell you this? Did she tell you this? I don't know. It seemed like something that she had been telling multiple people just to make it seem like he was the bad guy because he left her and married somebody else. I don't know. What y'all think? Yeah, y'all, that's all I got for Divorce Sistas today. I think this review will suffice. Because I feel like I'm more level headed and I thought about some things. Like yesterday, my emotions was too raw, and Geneva had me messed up. I was mad. I ain't say nothing crazy or nothing like that, but my thoughts were so choppy. It was all over the place because I was still processing everything in real time. So I know that review was all over the place. I listened to it back and I was just like, I don't know if I'm satisfied with this. I don't know if... And then I even told my husband last night, I was just like, yeah, I recorded a review for Divorce Sistas, but, like, I'm going to wait till tomorrow to say how I feel about it still. And I was just like, no, I'm going to re-record it. So, yeah, y'all, hopefully this is good. And if you stay with me for this 40 minutes, I truly do thank you. If you don't mind, give me a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back next week for the finale, I guess. Deuces.